The day the bulldozers arrived, Michael Carter stood silently in front of his tiny garage and watched 20 years of hard work disappear beneath clouds of dust. The old sign that read, "Carter Auto Repair," shook in the wind. The walls that had witnessed thousands of repaired engines, late nights, and impossible sacrifices were marked for demolition. Across the street, expensive black cars lined up outside a towering corporate building. Inside sat the man responsible for it all, a powerful CEO whose signature had ended Michael's business in a matter of weeks. Michael wasn't just losing a garage. He was losing the place where he had raised his daughter, fought through grief, and rebuilt his life after losing everything. And at that moment, it seemed like the world had finally beaten him. Before we continue, if you believe kindness matters, that hard work deserves a chance, and that second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories like this one to life. Michael had never dreamed of becoming rich. He simply wanted stability. 15 years earlier, his wife had passed away unexpectedly, leaving him alone with a 3-year-old daughter named Emma. Overnight, he became both mother and father. Every morning began before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, dropped Emma at school, worked 12-hour shifts repairing vehicles, and returned home exhausted. The garage wasn't fancy. Its roof leaked during storms. The office furniture was older than many of the cars he repaired. The paint peeled from the walls. But customers trusted him. They trusted his honesty. They trusted the way he treated every person with respect, whether they drove a luxury vehicle or an old truck held together by hope. Over the years, the garage became a beloved part of the community. When someone couldn't afford repairs, Michael found solutions. When elderly customers needed transportation, he helped them. When young mechanics needed training, he gave them opportunities. He wasn't building a fortune. He was building a reputation. Unfortunately, reputation doesn't always stand a chance against corporate power. Several miles away stood Titan Automotive Group, a billion-dollar company led by CEO Richard Hawthorne. Richard was famous for aggressive expansion. He bought properties, eliminated competition, and transformed neighborhoods into profitable developments. To investors, he was brilliant. To small business owners, he was feared. One afternoon, Michael received a letter. Titan Automotive had acquired the entire industrial block surrounding his garage. Every property owner had accepted buyout offers. Everyone except Michael. The letter was polite. The offer was generous. But Michael refused. His garage wasn't simply real estate. It was his life's work. Weeks later, another offer arrived. Then another. Then another. Each larger than the last. Michael still said no. That's when things changed. City permits suddenly became difficult. Inspections increased. Road construction blocked customer access. New regulations created endless complications. The pressure grew stronger every month. Eventually, Michael realized he wasn't fighting a business negotiation. He was fighting a machine. A machine far larger than himself. Customers became harder to reach. Revenue dropped. Bills accumulated. Savings disappeared. Emma, now 17 years old, watched her father carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. She noticed the sleepless nights. The unpaid invoices. The worry hidden behind forced smiles. Yet Michael never complained. He simply worked harder. But some battles cannot be won through effort alone. 6 months later, the final notice arrived. The property would be acquired through redevelopment authority. The garage would be demolished. Michael lost. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. The demolition happened on a gray morning. Neighbors gathered to watch. Many cried. Some hugged Michael. Others shook their heads in disbelief. A local business that had served the community for decades was gone. Meanwhile, Richard Hawthorne celebrated another successful acquisition. For him, it was just another project. Another victory. Another line on a financial report. Michael loaded his remaining tools into an old pickup truck and drove away. Emma sat beside him. Neither spoke. Both stared at the road ahead. Neither knew where life would take them next. For several months, Michael worked temporary repair jobs. He rented small spaces. Accepted whatever work he could find. The future looked uncertain. Then fate intervened. One rainy afternoon, while driving through an abandoned industrial district, Michael noticed something unusual. Behind rusted fences stood an enormous factory. The building looked forgotten. Broken windows covered its exterior. Weeds pushed through cracked concrete. Parts of the roof had collapsed. Most people saw a ruin. Michael saw possibility. He parked his truck and walked through the property. The factory had once employed hundreds of workers decades earlier before closing permanently. Now it sat empty. Neglected. Waiting. The asking price was shockingly low. The property had become a liability nobody wanted. Banks wouldn't finance it. Developers avoided it. Investors laughed at it. But Michael couldn't stop thinking about it. For weeks, he studied every detail. Every blueprint. Every structural report. Every risk. Finally, he made the decision that would change everything. He invested every remaining dollar he had. He sold personal belongings. Borrowed against future earnings. Took risks that terrified him. Then he bought the abandoned factory. People thought he was crazy. Friends worried. Former customers questioned the decision. Even Emma felt nervous. The building looked impossible to save. Yet Michael had spent his entire life fixing things others considered broken. Why should this be any different? The first year was brutal. Every day presented new problems. Electrical systems failed. Pipes burst. Equipment malfunctioned. Unexpected expenses drained resources. Many nights Michael slept inside the factory because he couldn't afford additional travel costs. His hands became rough from endless labor. His body ached constantly. But slowly, change appeared. One repaired section became 2. 2 became 10. Empty spaces transformed into workshops. Old machinery returned to life. Former employees from the garage joined him. Then others followed. Michael wasn't merely rebuilding a business. He was creating opportunities. The factory evolved into a manufacturing and repair center specializing in rebuilding industrial equipment. Companies discovered that Michael could restore expensive machinery for a fraction of replacement costs. Demand increased. Contracts multiplied. Revenue grew. Within 3 years, the abandoned factory employed over 100 workers. Families who had struggled found jobs. Local suppliers benefited. The surrounding district began recovering. Restaurants reopened. Shops returned. New businesses emerged. The area once considered dead slowly came back to life. Meanwhile, Titan Automotive faced growing challenges. Richard Hawthorne's aggressive expansion had created hidden weaknesses. The company carried enormous debt. Investments failed. Market conditions shifted. Several major projects collapsed. Investors grew nervous. Profits declined. For the first time in years, Richard discovered that success was not guaranteed. As Titan struggled, Michael's enterprise continued expanding. News outlets started covering the remarkable transformation. Journalists described how a single father had converted an abandoned factory into one of the region's fastest-growing employers. Business schools studied his approach. Community leaders praised his impact. Customers admired his integrity. Most importantly, Emma watched her father become the person she had always believed he could be. One evening, standing on a balcony overlooking the massive factory floor, she saw hundreds of workers moving between stations. Machines hummed. Lights glowed. Forklifts transported materials. Teams collaborated on projects. The building was alive. Years earlier, she had watched bulldozers destroy a garage. Now she witnessed an empire rising from ruins. And it belonged to the same man. The story might have ended there. But life had one final twist. A severe economic downturn struck the industry. Many companies faced financial emergencies. Among them was Titan Automotive. Richard Hawthorne's company suffered catastrophic losses. Creditors demanded payments. Operations slowed. Several facilities closed. Eventually, Richard found himself facing bankruptcy. Desperate to survive, Titan began selling assets. One of those assets happened to be the very corporate headquarters that once overlooked Michael's garage. The irony stunned everyone. The powerful CEO who had once removed small businesses now struggled to save his own. Around that time, Michael received an invitation to participate in a major redevelopment project involving several industrial properties. Among the available sites stood Titan's former headquarters. Many expected revenge. Many assumed Michael would seize the opportunity to humiliate Richard publicly. After all, he had every reason. The CEO's actions had destroyed his original business. Years of hardship followed. Most people would never forgive such treatment. But Michael had learned something important. Bitterness builds nothing. Only vision does. Instead of seeking revenge, he focused on opportunity. He acquired the property and transformed it into a training center for young mechanics, engineers, and technicians. The same location once used to eliminate small businesses now helped launch careers. Hundreds of students received education and practical experience. Many eventually found successful employment. The project became one of Michael's proudest achievements. His empire continued growing. Yet he never forgot where he started. He never forgot the tiny garage. He never forgot the struggles. He never forgot the lonely nights after losing his wife. He never forgot the fear of failing his daughter. Those memories kept him grounded. Years later, during an industry conference, Michael was recognized for outstanding leadership and community impact. Thousands attended. Executives, investors, journalists, and business leaders filled the auditorium. When Michael stepped onto the stage, applause echoed throughout the room. Many expected him to speak about strategy, growth, profit, success. Instead, he spoke about resilience. He spoke about loss. He spoke about faith during difficult times. He spoke about choosing hope when circumstances seem impossible. And by the time he finished, many people were wiping tears from their eyes. Because they understood something profound. Michael's greatest achievement wasn't building an empire. It was refusing to let pain define him. Before we reach the end of this story, I have a special request. Please comment below with the words, "Never give up," if you believe setbacks can become new beginnings. Today, the old factory stands as a symbol of determination. Thousands of people pass through its gates every year. Jobs are created. Dreams are built. Families are supported. Lives are changed. And somewhere inside that enormous complex hangs a small photograph of the original garage. Not because it was profitable. Not because it was famous. But because it reminds everyone where the journey began. The tiny garage that was destroyed became the foundation of something far greater. The loss that seemed unbearable became the doorway to a future nobody could imagine. And the single father who once stood helpless before bulldozers ultimately built an empire powerful enough to transform an entire community. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you never to quit during difficult times, please take a moment to like the video, share it with friends and family, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and inspiring stories. Because sometimes life's greatest blessings arrive disguised as devastating losses. And sometimes the door that closes behind us is simply guiding us toward a far bigger future waiting ahead. Michael's journey proved a timeless truth: success is not measured by what survives destruction. Success is measured by what rises afterward. And when courage, kindness, and perseverance come together, even the ruins of yesterday can become the empire of tomorrow. The end.